Thank you, Scott. And thank you all for having me here in a pinch hitting role tonight. Carl so powerfully laid out the negative effects of summer learning loss on low-income children for many years into their futures. And thank you for that very meaningful presentation. And I'm here to say that we can and we should do something about those losses. Data increasingly show that high quality, and that's an important word, high quality after school and summer learning opportunities can close the achievement gap for these children. And that's what I'll briefly touch on in my pinch hitting role tonight. Nationally, the After School Alliance and their America After 3 p.m. data tell us that there are 19.4 million children in this country who would participate in after-school programming if it were available in an affordable way. In South Carolina, that number is around 331,000 children who would be likely to participate if affordable programs were available in their communities in our state. And this is a bipartisan issue. You can see on the data here, 75% of South Carolina parents say it's important for their children to have summer learning opportunities. 82% of those same parents support funding for summer learning programs. It continues to be a bipartisan issue among our state's principals. These principals are telling us at very high levels that they have interest in expanding or starting summer and after-school programs. They just need more resources and more time to make that happen. With the challenges facing us in our world today, and you all know there are many, and we just heard a number of them, there's absolutely no way that our schools can do this alone. They need partners. They need community partners, and there are many of those, and that's where all of us come into play. We need to pull our schools and our community organizations, our faith-based organizations, our cities, and our county partners together in innovative ways, because the data do show us that when after-school community partners and school day partners work together, that we are seeing great outcomes for our children. There really is growing evidence in support of expanded learning encompassing both summer and after-school learning opportunities. And I'll just touch on a little bit of that evidence for you. Durlach and Weisberg, there's some researchers in Chicago who are widely renowned in our field. They show us that after-school and summer learning programs accelerate student success among a number of indicators. That would be when they participate in after-school and summer learning, you see improved attendance during the school day. You see positive social behaviors increasing. You see a reduction in problem behaviors. You see increased grades and increased test scores in the school day for those who are participating beyond those school day hours. That is really powerful information. Another new study shows that more time spent in after school during the elementary school years is linked to narrowing the achievement gap in math. This study specifically looked at math. But what I want to highlight is that dosage matters. Dosage meaning the more time you spend in after school and summer learning, the better results you're going to see. And you can see where that gap becomes almost zero. We have more data than ever before. You may have seen this compendium on the table of resources in the lobby. This is a relatively new book that pulls over 100 articles together that are research studies and articles on best practices for after school and summer learning. The executive editor for this compendium is White-Riley-Peterson, who was supposed to be here tonight, and I'm sorry you weren't able to hear from him because I always call him the godfather of after school. It's really true. He knows more than almost anyone in the whole country. If you're interested in this book, I brought about 6 or 7 copies I had. You're welcome to take one of those if you think it would be helpful in your work. What are prominent researchers telling us? They're telling us we need to spend less time talking about the value of after school and summer learning because we know it's there. And we need to spend that same time developing policies, supports, and programs in these beyond the school hours. That's what we need to be spending our time on. So what can we do? What can we do to expand after school and summer learning in our communities? There are so many things that we can. We have tons of partners. This is a great way for all of us to plug in. I want to highlight 2 organizations, one locally and one in our state, that are doing great work right on the forefront of after school and expanded learning. The first is the South Carolina After School Alliance, and their communications director, Erica McCluskey, is here tonight. They work statewide. They're based in Columbia, and they're a large advocate all across the state and with the legislature for this type of programming. Here in Greenville, we have really a phenomenal organization called Boost Greenville. They're based at United Way of Greenville County. They're an intermediary, but what they are doing is working with partners all across this city and county to provide abundant resources in after school and summer learning. So what they're conducting a needs assessment to figure out where the gaps are, and then they're trying to figure out how to fill those gaps. They're addressing access and equity in summer learning and after school. Those are 2 organizations that are good to know about that we should all look to as partners in our state. We need to continue to define the community gaps and needs and identify sources of funding or untapped resources like empty school buildings after the 3 o'clock hour, empty school buildings in summers, school libraries, those many books that are available in school libraries that sit there all summer unread. There's so many resources that these partner organizations can help us tap into. And then I would say to all of us, we need to encourage and educate our elected officials and leaders and advocate for expanded learning opportunities and policies in support of time beyond the school day. I'd like to end with a quote from Bill White. He, in the program that Scott mentioned that I lead, that I heard a few giggles around the long title, the White-Riley-Peterson Policy Fellowship. Obviously, Riley is the Riley Institute. Peterson is Terry Peterson, who is going to be here. And Bill White is the CEO of the Mott Foundation. That would be C.S. Mott of the Mott Applesauce, based in Flint, Michigan. And he has supported through millions of dollars over the past 15 years many after-school and summer learning opportunities and networks across our country. And when asked if after-school is the silver bullet, he said, no, I don't know if there really is a silver bullet, but I really do think that after-school and summer learning are the silver lining and that they play a really important part in our educational reform. Thank you very much.